Hey guys, Cliff Gray here with Flat Tops Wilderness Guides and True Hunts. We're putting together a couple videos that are just about taking care of your gear, okay? So one of the videos is going to be about clothing, I'll talk about today, and then I'm going to follow up with a couple additional videos. One's going to be on boot care, and then the third will be on optics care, all right? So all of this rain gear and all your weather slash rain resistant fancy gear that you buy, if it's hunting or just backcountry gear, all of it's going to have what's called a DWR covering on it, and so that's going to be put on it in the factory. What a lot of people fail to realize is that just over time and use, that's going to it's not going to work as well. All right. So in the main factors are how often you use it, how much abrasion it gets, those sort of things that are just those are unavoidable, particularly in the hunting context. And then another variable is just going to be how much you actually launder the item. So keep that in mind. If an item doesn't need to be laundered, particularly high-end rain gear, you want to limit how many times you're laundering it. Okay, just launder it when it's dirty, and then if you can always also, you can try to talk your wife or girlfriend into it, or you'll have to do it. You can always hand wash stuff, and it'll help that DWR finish last a little bit longer if you do that. Okay, so in my mind, laundering is probably the biggest factor, in addition to just obviously time and use. You can actually kind of revive the factory DWR finish on items, and the best way to do that is what they say is clean it and then don't wash it, but just put it in the dryer. They say that 10 to 15 minutes just at like a relatively high heat sometimes will actually revive the factory DWR finish. But you can read the manufacturer's recommendations or just call them. Particularly these high-end hunting brands, they can give you some guidance on that, how to revive that finish. And then the other thing you can do is you can actually you can just redo the finish, right? So, or I guess it's kind of adding to the finish, but also reviving it. And there's two ways to do that. There's sprays like this provided by Nick Wax, and then there's items that you can actually wash into the rain gear or rain resistant hunting gear. Okay, and that's more of like a thing you could do on an annual basis, or even less if you're not using the gear a ton. The main way to know when you're gonna need it is, I notice on my rain gear, whenever the finish quits being water repellent, usually I notice it where there's a lot of friction, right? So like where I have my waist belt on my backpack, or if I've got where my shoulder straps make contact here, or right across, kind of on the top of my pecs, wherever there's contact, those seem to be the first areas that lose that finish. So you'll know, and then at that point, hopefully it's not in the middle of your hunting season or in the middle of a long hunt, but you'll get the indications and the symptoms of that water resistant feature kind of deteriorate, and you'll know that it's time to either revive the finish or redo it. Okay, and then while you're at it, kind of that annual check. Usually, what I do on my gear, and this is really all of it, not necessarily just rain gear, is I'll go through and patch any of it that has holes in it. The common spots that I see, just if you're crossing fences or going over boulders or whatever, a lot of times I'll have little holes in the thigh, in my inner thighs, stuff like that, where barbed wires grabbed a hold of it or whatever. And then across my pockets, a lot of times I get wear, and so you can patch that stuff. A lot of times what I use is, I actually, on a lot of my gear, I actually use duct tape. So I put it just on the inside and the outside. It looks pretty trailer park-esque, but it does work. And then the other thing you can use is, you can use tenacious tape. And I actually keep a little patch of this in my backpack, even just in case it's a egregious hole or something I want to patch in the field. But you can do just an annual check on your gear and patch stuff up that way. So that's how we take care of our gear and keep it in good working order.